America's front line of defense is this computer. It is totally secure. Or is it?
Shall we play a game?
You can go to jail for that.
Only if you're over 18.
This computer company is coming out with these amazing new games in a couple of months.
I want to play those games. How about global thermonuclear war?
We have a launch detection. We have a Soviet launch detection.
B-Muse confirmed a massive attack.
That's a warning, no malfunction.
Confidence is high. I repeat, confidence is high.
Corbin, is this an exercise?
Negative, this is not an exercise.
General, DBS is tracking 300 inbound Soviet ICBM.
Flush the bombers, get the subs in launch mode. We are at DEFCON 1.
I'll be escorting you to federal authorities in Denver, where you'll be placed under arrest pending indictment for espionage.
Espionage? It's Joshua! He's still playing the game! He's gonna start a war!
War games.
Wouldn't you prefer a good game of chess?
A lot of people out there will say, who cares? It's only a movie. But there's certain movies that really touch you, that you see early in life that change you, shape who you are, at least maybe just shape you for that moment of time, maybe for that year that you saw the movie, maybe just for a couple of months. And then there's some, of course, like Star Wars, that goes on and changes your DNA. It gets into your soul. It makes up who you are. There's no doubt about it. Who I am will be completely different if there wasn't a movie released in 1977 called Star Wars. Now, I know that sounds trivial to some people, and they're thinking it's only a movie. How can a movie affect your life so much? Maybe they'll say, I can understand if it made you get into the arts. Maybe it made you become a filmmaker or something. But what about you? Just a bum? No, Star Wars has made me. But we're not here to talk about Star Wars on this. This is a new series I'm hoping to do called The Movies That Made Me. In fact, I don't know if I'm going to stick just to movies, so I might change that title. I'm not really sure. I know there's a series on Netflix called The Movies That Made Us, and they have the toys that made us, but I said, let's not talk about us. Let's talk about me. Great subject, right? Me. I know that's why you're all here to talk about me, but I thought I'd talk about movies that made me. I'm going to go through some movies, and it might be mainstream, like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, something like that, or smaller movies that maybe, you just don't really think about it. You don't hear much people talk about. But today we're going to start this episode 1 with a movie that affected me really early on, at least wasn't Star Wars or maybe Indiana Jones. And we're going to talk about the 1983 film War Games. I'm sure you all remember that. If you haven't seen it, there will be some spoilers here, but please don't listen to this podcast. Go watch the movie. It was a great, great movie. It was directed by John Badham. I hope I said that right. Badham. B-A-D-A-M. I hope I said that right. Of course, it stars Matthew Broderick, who most people know as Ferris Bueller. But, everybody knows Matthew Broderick as a lot of stuff. He's been on tons of stuff. In the 80s as a teen, and then older as an adult, he's done stuff. So, he did a movie called... See, that's what happened when you do a podcast. Draw a blank. I can't pause it to go see Election. Really good movie where he played a teacher at a school. Really enjoyed that movie. Alexander Payne directed that. And I probably will do an episode about Alexander Payne because his movies affected me. I really love his movies. I don't know if I'll say they affected me in a way where they put some DNA in my body, made me who I am today, but I do enjoy his movies. If you don't know Alexander Page, my favorite is Sideways. It's probably one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. He did Sideways, Citizen Ruth, Downsizing. Downsizing wasn't any good. I was really let down by Downsizing. Ugh, don't even get me started on that. But he's done Election. He's done a lot of good movies. About Smith, I haven't seen. I can't believe I haven't seen that one. But we're getting back to War Games here, starring Matthew Broderick. And, of course, his, I guess you could call it his girlfriend in the movie. I don't know. His girlfriend in the movie is Ali Sheedy, who you probably also remember from a lot of 80s movies. You don't really see her that much today. Ali Sheedy, probably the first movie star or girl I saw in a movie that I really had a crush on. Maybe Carrie Fisher, but that was kind of more of a young boy, older woman crush. I wasn't the same age as Ali Sheedy, but she was probably as old as my sister or my brother. She was in that kid range still. She was a teenager. Breakfast Club. I know a lot of people went crazy for Molly Ringwald. Molly Ringwald. I didn't go crazy for Molly Ringwald. I went crazy even in Breakfast Club. I know she was kind of, to me, I don't know. I know they made her up at the end of the movie, made her look pretty. I like the goth or whatever look she had. It was different. It was unique. Allie, and not Breakfast Club, with War Games, she comes off as, you know, there's some kind of girls, women, beautiful women out there that, you know, they're beautiful. You can't touch them. They're on a pedestal, or it just feels like you're out of touch. But she always has that girl next door quality. A really good, like, she just seems like would be really cool to hang out with. You know, there's some girls like that, and I'm sure maybe some others feel that Matthew Broderick seems like a really cool guy to hang out with. But, so we got Ali Sheedy, we got Matthew Broderick, and we got Dabney Coleman. I mean, I can sit here and talk for an hour about Dabney Coleman. Oh, he's done a lot of stuff. 9 to 5. Even a movie called Clifford with Martin Short, everybody hates. I like it mostly because of Dabney Coleman, and of course, really like Charles Grodin. He's really good in that movie. I know it's a weird, stupid movie and everything, but I can't laugh at it. Especially the guy that plays Clifford's dad. I'm drawing the blank on his name right now. He's in Mad About You, Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's in a lot of stuff, and I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Also in War Games was John Wood. Now, I don't really know John Wood. He did play the main character of War Games, but the one that sets off the events in War Games, the one that builds the computer, Stephen Hawking in War Games. I don't know if I've ever seen him in anything else. I've checked out his Wikipedia page. Said he was on the Purple Rose of Cairo, which I've heard of. But that's about it. Richard III, Chocolat. A lot of these I've never seen. So I don't know if I've probably seen him. You know, there's a lot of actors you don't think you've never seen before. And you're like, I only saw him in that movie. And then you start looking at their list and you're like, hey, I've seen that guy in a lot of stuff. How about that? Also in War Games is another actor. And I'm going to have to pull his name. I thought I had it right here in front of me. I didn't. Let me see if I can find that really quick. I know. Josie, let me click and make sure this is, I don't think this is the right guy right here. You know, Michael Manson is in War Games. You know, from Reservoir Dogs and some other Quentin Tarantino movies. A lot of people don't realize Michael Manson's at the very beginning. You know, turn your key, sir. Turn your key. He starts off right there telling the guy to turn his key. Only seen he's got. And I thought he shot the guy for a long time, for years, until I recently watched War Games. And I realized he didn't even shoot the guy. And I see here that John Wood, who plays Stephen Falcon, says he does the voice of Joshua. Does he do he don't do the computer voice, does he? Where he hooks it up to his, where Matthew Broderick hooks up the computer and it talks? The shall we play? I guess not. That's not the same voice, is it? Because that seems like a computer voice to me. Here we go. Barry Corbin, who you might not recognize the name. He's in Urban Cowboy, Stir Crazy, War Games, of course. No Country for Old Men. It's probably the last thing I've seen him in. He was on Lonesome Dove. Anybody remember that? One Tree Hill, The Ranch. He's been on a ton of stuff. I mean, this guy, he plays the general in War Games, and you've seen him in a lot of stuff. I thought he was on a Northern Exposure, but I didn't see that listed on here. See, he's in Judgment Day, but that's a different Judgment Day right there. I want to see if he's in Critters 2, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen. And no, I didn't. I don't know why I was thinking. I must be getting him mixed up with someone else. I could have swore. Oh, that's his film. Let me look at his TV credits real quick. I know this is. He was in Ellen, The Big Easy, Columbo, Jag, Spin City, The Drew Carey Show. So he's been in everything. Reba, One Tree Hill, Celebrity Poker Showdown, The Closure, Man Against the Mob, Murder She Wrote. There it is, Northern Exposure. Yes, remember that show, Northern Exposure? I never see reruns of that. I like that. I think I would like it even better because it was a little more adult oriented. But I think I would like that better. But let's get back over to War Games now. I love, man. Matthew Broderick played, of course, David Lightman. David comes with one of the best jokes. School jokes anyway. He's sitting in class and the teacher wants to know who came up with I forget how he phrased it now. I know I should have premarital having sex without, getting pregnant without sex. I think there was something like that. And of course Matthew Broderick jokes, your wife? And he's like, get out of here, Lightman, get out of here, and sends him to the office. And of course he goes to the office. But I love why did I love this? I don't know. Now, I remember going to see this with my brother. This was 1984, I believe, 1984. Yeah, did I say that? 1984, it was released. I can remember going to see with my brother. We got there late, probably about 10 minutes late. The turn your key part was over. He was in the classroom and everything. And I really connected. He was a little older than me, of course. Let me see how old Matthew Broderick is. I'm just kind of curious to how old he is. Because, a lot of times they play teenagers in movies and they're a lot older. He's born in 1962, so we're talking, he was just roughly, math in my head, he was in his early 20s. And it wasn't like 16 or anything, but he looked the part. He wasn't like John Travolta in Grease. He didn't look too old for the part. But he played David Lightman, really into computers. Now, I had a TRS-80 computer about the same time, and I wanted to be David Lightman when I saw it. There was 2 computer movies that affected me after I saw it. Then I got home and I got back on the computer. I said, let me get back on that computer. Let me be who I just saw. Another one, believe it or not, is embarrassing to say, is The Net with Sandra Bullock. I wanted to hack everything I could. I wanted to get viruses and send them to people and stuff. We'll talk about that maybe one day. I don't know if that would be in a movie that changed me or movies that I love or anything, but definitely I was really into computers, and that time I was really onto American Online. I was starting to get on the internet. I had this software called AOL, AOHEL, LOL. It was a hacker software for American Online. Let you get free accounts. It'll let you, what they call phishing today. I think it's about where the term started. It had a credit card generator. We never would order stuff, but you use the credit card generator to generate a fake credit card number. That way you could get you a free account of HBO for AOL for 30 days, and it would take them about that long to check their credit card. It wouldn't be a real number. It would just be a number that fits into their system, so it would help you get a free account. When I saw The Net, I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. I learned more of this. But let's get back to War Games. Oh, his computer talked. Remember, he hooked a little machine there, and I remember some other guy with friends like, you can't do that with a computer, man. That's just so weird and stupid. But I don't know. I don't know if the technology was there back in '84 when this was released. It don't seem like it was that hard of a technology. Today, you can have your computer. I'm going to highlight something with my mouse right here and click speech, and they'll read whatever I highlight. So yeah, I don't think back then. I don't know how common that was. Really, I think it was more practical for the movie. You didn't want him reading everything he was reading on the screen. But it didn't come up over the top. Like, here's this kid's got, if they redid this movie today, he would have a paper-thin monitor and holograms hanging from the wall and all this stuff that just either no kid is going to have because they don't even invent it, or he'll have some shit that's going to cost so much that no average high school boy is just going to have it. But okay, so he goes home, he breaks it. Well, first he gets sent to the computer room, right? He gets sent to to the principal's office, and he pulls out the desk drawer and finds all the passwords. Remember, he goes through them all, and pencil, I think, was the latest password. So that's why he gets in trouble. He gets in trouble on purpose, so he gets sent to the office. Hey, I like that. It's kind of got a Ferris Bueller thing going for him already, although this was released a little before, I think a year or two before Ferris Bueller. So he gets the password, he goes home, and that's when we get to see his computer system where he cracks into the school. Whew, talk about blow your mind. That's what got me. I was like, okay, I got a computer at home. He's got a computer at home. He gets in trouble and goes to the office. I get in trouble and go to the office. The only thing different is he knows how to hack into the computer system. Now, I don't know, was computer systems on a network back then? Maybe they had a modem that connected from school to school. I mean, it wasn't the internet, so it was almost computer to computer back then. And I can remember getting some salt in the late 80s when I was getting on to Prodigy and American Online. Or really, I had a modem, and I was still into War Games. This was years later, 88, 89, but I still loved it and everything. So I had this actually software like he did that would call around. All you would do is you would put the area code in the first 3 digits, like let's say 995, and then you have it go 001. It would call it, hang up, 0002, and would go up. So I would go off to school. I was in high school then. Send myself off to high school. Come back, and hopefully by then it's dial all the numbers already up to 9999. and it would log each one you found. If it was busy, it would let you know it was busy. If it was just somebody answered and you hung up on them. Of course, this was before they had caller ID, so I didn't really worry about that. I guess they had star 69 back then, but nobody really cared. But I would, every once in a while, it would log a computer terminal. You know, that bzz, bzz, it would get that. So it would mark it. Hey, this number here goes to a computer. But really, most of them went to fax machines, but I didn't tell myself that back then. I was like, oh, I found a computer. And I can remember I would always call these numbers with my modem, and I would at some time, most of the time, like I said, it was fax machine. I didn't really get nothing. It would connect and not really do nothing. There was a few times where I would get a prompt. It would never be like, you know, war games where I couldn't type help and get any clues or anything. But I would just get a prompt, a login prompt, but like the cursor blinking. Never could get past that. But there were some local BBSs. Anybody remember local BBSs? Bulletin Board System. This is early internet we're talking, guys. Early internet. And it really reminded me of hacking into this stuff back then. Because, you know, it was the green screen, kind of like his with the right where all the text is all green. And it was, he didn't have any pictures. You didn't have, I mean, you could download maybe some pictures. It'd take you forever, you know, take an hour to download a JPEG, but you wouldn't have any pictures. It'd all be text based, and there'd be message boards, people on there talking movies, talking news, and just all kinds of stuff. And it was really underground, and I kind of miss that. That's what was the fun about it. It was really, really underground. I don't know, I thought that was really neat. You get on there, and most people was a little older than me. A lot of college people was in it, people that were in computer type field, and college was on there, and I would come on there and, you know, talk back and forth. I remember we found one local BBS that had a Nintendo club. People would always talk about these tricks from Mario and do this on Mario. I think it was Nintendo and maybe some early Super Nintendo stuff. I'm not really sure of the years. You know, the older you get, I mean, I'm almost 50 now. Those years start to blend together. You can be like, well, I thought that was 88. And you're like, oh, what? Oh, that was 92? Oh, okay, all blends together. I can remember also thinking back, there was this girl, and I guess it was middle school that I dated. And I had a crush on. We dated, we broke up, we dated, we broke up. And it seemed like I had a love affair for this girl for at least 5 years of breakup, makeup, breakup, makeup, cheat on me, cheat on me, cheat. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, I think that was just 1 year of my life. 1 year. I don't even think it was a whole year. But it feels like, looking back, that was at least, you know, 3 to 5 years of my childhood. But anyway, I get on these local BBSs, you know, talk to people, have a lot of fun. Could never hack into the school, but if it wasn't for seeing war games in those in 84, I doubt I would have been there in 88, 89 trying to get on these local BBSs. Now, I might have, but like I said, these are the movies that made me, and I feel like war games turned me into that. I can remember because David Fleischman goes to the library and he starts trying to research Falcon's Maze. I can remember going to the library too. Around this, now I saw it at the theater, but you know, it played on HBO 85, 86, kept playing on it, so I was always there. So I would get in these little spurts where I would see war games at the theater, come home, mess around my computer, probably forgot about it for a while, because in 84 I was still 12, I think. So then it's probably when I saw it back on HBO when I started getting more into computers. My brother had a Commodore 64. I think he had a 128, but had a 64 built into it. So I was doing some computer game stuff then, playing some really computer games. And like I said, I had a computer myself, started getting on American Online. And then about this time, or even before, like I said before, American Online, these bulletin boards and stuff with the modem. And I mean, this was a long time ago. We're talking Windows. I had American Online for DOS. Windows, they didn't have a version of American Online for Windows. That's how old we're talking. There wasn't even a Windows system. But he went to the library and got all these books and tried to figure out who Falcon's Maze was and everything. And I went there. I don't know what I was looking for, but I would get these computer books, computer programming books and everything. I don't know why. I always thought I would find some kind of gem in there. I don't know what I would find. I wasn't programming. I don't know why I got these books from the library. I think I just felt like I was David Lightman getting these books, you know? It's just, it was kind of cringy now looking back on it and stuff. But every once in a while I would find, you know, I would have some computer manuals and they would talk about a company or something. I would try to go to the library and try more about that company. Again, we had the internet, but it wasn't like it is today where I could look all that stuff up. But he hacked into his computer, and his school computer, and changed his grade. Who didn't want to do that? Who didn't? I mean, I'm sure we all would have loved to have done that. Hack in, change a computer. I would have been changing the days I missed more. I think he did that in Ferris Bueller, didn't he? He hacked in there too. He's kind of had the enlightenment skills in Ferris Bueller. He wanted a car and he got a computer for his birthday, so he made the best of it. Hey, I don't blame him. The car's nice, but yeah, if you can change your grade or change how many days you missed. But in War Game, he changed his grade. But I would remember getting a report. I cut school a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I did cut school a lot, and I can remember we had a report card. It wasn't on a piece of paper. It was more like, you remember carbon copies, I think they called them. It was like a paper. You would write on the first paper, and it would have this black thing in between. It would go down to the other paper. But the report card you took home wasn't the main copy. It was a second copy. It had the carbon number on it. And you could erase that number, put a piece of carbon over it, and a piece of paper over that carbon, write it. If you got it just right, you could write that number, how many days you missed. It was really easy, to make a 8 look like a 3. There were some numbers you could play around. 7, you might get that into a 1. But so to change my grades, go into a computer and hack it. Whew, that would have been amazing, wouldn't it? That would have been. Oh, like I said, I wouldn't have cared. I might have changed my grade, and I wouldn't. He gave his girlfriend. He gave Ali Sheedy an A. I was like, no, you got to keep it on down low. You got to, if you got an F, you give yourself a C. If you got a C, you give yourself a small B. You don't go crazy with it. That's how you get busted. It's like I hear people like counterfeit money or they're find a way to rip off a casino and they're ripping off for millions. No, you rip it off for $75, $100, something small. Then you go to another casino, rip it off small. That's how you not get caught. At least I think. I've never done anything like that, but that's how I would assume you would get caught. But okay, so he hacks into his computer, of course, and then Ali Sheedy comes over and he changes her grade and she gets mad, which I can remember watching that movie. I was like, why would she get mad? I guess she was just scared of getting caught or something, but he goes back in and changes it. But later he's looking through this magazine, and I can remember my brother had some computer magazines. I don't know if it was computer or just science magazine. Omni, I think it was called. But it would have these computer ads in it, so whenever I flipped through it, there I was. I thought I was David Lightman again. I was like, oh, what's this? And if it had a phone number on it, like, I can remember that too. I had a phone number on the computer ad. I would call numbers around it trying to see if they had a computer line. Like I said, it was probably just a fax, but I didn't. I don't know. Most kids were out playing t-ball or little league, and this is what I was doing with my spare time. So he found this magazine, Protovision. I got a shirt at junkmanmerch.com, Protovision shirt. People buy that. I'm surprised at how many people know that. Because I don't hear much talk about war. I hear talk like, oh yeah, War Game's a good movie. But you don't hear it like you do Ferris Bueller or The Breakfast Club. In fact, when you talk teen movies of the 80s, nobody really brings up this as a teen movie. Which I guess it does fit in that category of teen movies of the 80s. You got the two main stars, Ali Sheedy and Matthew Broderick here as playing teenagers. But he finds this computer magazine with this ad, and he knows, like I did. Well, I know because of him. The 1-800 number, Protovision, he calls the operator, gets numbers in the area, sets up that software, like I said, I had, where he could find, computers in the area. So he hacks into this computer. If I don't hack, he logs in, doesn't do really any hacking, and that's when is asking. He can't get in. He has help. I always tried that. I always tried when I couldn't get a password. Like, can I get a help? Type help. It never was. But he goes to see these two computer guys, much older guys, probably in their 30s. One's very, very nerdy guy. I think he's in the Polar Express. He was in Midnight Madness. That's one I can talk about right there. Midnight Madness for sure. But he was in Midnight. He was a really nerdy guy, and I love this. He's like, you're giving away our best tricks. And that guy's like, Mr. Potato Head. Mr. Potato Head, backdoors are not secrets. So, the nerdy guy tells him, hey, I was start at the top of the list. Falcon's Maze. And that's when he starts looking through Falcon's Maze, looking up this researcher, trying to find more about him. Again, years later at the library, there I am trying to do that myself with no real goal. Just me trying to make myself more interesting to myself. Whew. Like I said, most kids were out doing Little League or even other kids out smoking dope. And I was at the library getting out-of-date computer books for no reason at all to make myself think I was as cool as David Lightman. I know I wasn't that cool. There wasn't many people that were that cool. So he comes back, he's trying to get into the computer and everything. He finally finds out that he had a son that died. And I mean, there's a whole line of him and Ali Sheedy's talking. Ali Sheedy thinks he's good looking, the Falcon guy. And I was like, what? I don't know about that. Maybe it's because I had such a crush on Ali Sheedy. Maybe I was a little jealous. But this guy, 40s, I guess, old us back then. They even say in the movie, he died at 41. And Ali Sheedy's like, ooh, that is old. So it's kind of funny. It's probably, adults probably laughed at it back then. Watching it back in the 80s, I probably said, yeah, that is old. 41, ooh, that is ancient. But anyway, Ali Sheedy says, mentions that his son's Joshua, and that's when David has Joshua, his son passed away. Perfect. So he types it into the computer. Guess what? It gets into the system. It lists all these games, which are mostly strategy games. Maybe checkers. I know chess is on there. Checkers probably not. Tic-tac-toe is on there. A lot of other games. And of course the last one is thermonuclear war. And that's the one David, of course, sees. I want to play that. Because he thinks he's hacked into this computer software company where he can play games. For you can see these games before they get released. But no, he wants to play that. And the computer's telling him, he's got the talking computer now, shall we play a game? And he's telling him, no. Let's play chess. And he's like, no, thermonuclear war. So there it goes. The game finally says, okay, let's play it. And, I didn't even talk about this. It's really hooked to this computer called the Whopper, which is this new computer system, big room. When they used to have rooms full of computers, one computer would take up a whole room. The Whopper is kind of like supposed to make decisions that humans can't make. When the humans have to turn their keys to launch those nuclear bombs, they hesitate. Or they think, I can't do this. What if this is a bad warning? What if I can't be responsible for launching these nukes and killing everybody? Well, the Whopper takes all that out of it. It sees there's a threat. It sees, it's got all these check and balances, and it launches the nuclear bombs, missiles, whatever you want to call them. So he's hacked into that, not knowing, and he thinks he's playing this game, but he's really about to start World War III. So at the underground base, NORAD, I think it's called. NORAD, you got the general, you got Dabney Coleman, you got everybody there, and they're like, oh my God, the Russians have just started launching nukes. They got submarines, they got all this. David's sitting on his computer at home. Him and Ali Sheedy's having an old-fashioned Coke out of a can, and they're having a lot of fun, but they don't know they're on the DEFCON 4s, now moved to 3 or whatever, and everybody's scrambling around. What is going on? Well, David's mom wants him to go pick up the groceries. Pick up the trash. This dog knocked over, so cuts it off. And then it just knocks out Whopper. And people in the control room's like, what happened? All these nukes and everything just went blank. So that was, I was like, man, what has he got himself into? And I can remember a little later he comes home. His dad's eating raw corn. Remember that? His dad was eating raw corn, but he didn't know his wife. It looks like she's a real estate agent. She makes corn, and I love they smear peanut butter, smear butter all over the bread, and he used the bread to put it on his corn. And I thought that was fascinating. And to this day, I thought that's how you get butter on corn on the cob. But he bites into it, and it's crunchy. It hasn't even been cooked. And he's like, we got to eat this corn raw. And the lady's like, David's mom's like, yeah, isn't it nice? Oh, it's so good, nutrition and everything. It was crazy. So he sees on the news about the computer, something happened at NORAD. They thought there was going to be an attack, and there wasn't. And he puts it together. Hey, did we just do that? In fact, Ali Sheedy called him and said, did you watch the news? Is that because of us? Were we not really playing a game? So David starts freaking out. He throws away all. He has these big old printouts. He's got a big old disk drive. Discs were huge back then, but he has all these printouts, on a dark matrix. Those big dark matrix machines. He gets all that, throws everything away, and then the phone rings. He picks it up, and it's that computer sound. So he hooks it to the modem, thinking it's probably just some other friend he's got somewhere. And it's Joshua, the Whopper computer, the government computer, calling him. Just out of the blue. No one's sitting at the computer. No one's telling the computer to call David. Nobody even knows his number. Nobody knows who it was because they didn't trace the number in time. Back then you had to really trace the number. Now you just call somebody and it gets right to you. But yeah, you had to trace the number back then. But anyway, so he throws away all the papers and everything, and the computer calls him, and he's like, is this real? Or is this just a game? And of course, Josh is like, what difference does it make? He doesn't compute what's going on. So he, unplugs the phone line. He gets kind of worried. He stays away from it. I think he misses some days of school. Oh, that made me love him right there. I love anybody that can miss days of school without having to explain it. Hey, he can hack into the computer. I guess he could change his days too, like we said. But anyway, so he goes to play. What was the Galactica? Is that what he's playing? Galactica, where you have where you have one ship, and if you're lucky, you get 2 for the bonus round. Galactica, and I can remember in that scene he's playing it, and you can see he's on level 1. You can see that he's got 2 ships left. Then Ali Sheedy shows up, and she's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I changed my grade. I think I'm a little off on my timeline here." Anyway, Ali Sheedy, she's like, "I want to change my grades," and you can see he's got 2 ships left. But he dies, his ship blows up, and it says game over. Man, as a nerd guy, I was like, what? It ain't over. It's not over, it's not over. He's got 2 more ships. Anyway, David leaves this convenience store. The FBI's there. They try to sneak up on him, but it's pretty obvious. They got these big old wires coming out of their ears. They got a van and everything. So they pick him up and they take him to NORAD. I guess it's kind of, that's why I couldn't understand rewatching this. Was he close to NORAD, or did they fly him there? It seems like he was in the same town, which would make it kind of a weird coincidence. And the thing I thought odd, it never shows his parents again. They do mention that his parents been notified, but your son's been taken by the government, and we never hear anything from that end of the parents or anything. It's kind of odd, but I guess don't really need it. So we have, he's at NORAD, and that's when he runs into Dabney Coleman. Again, who doesn't love Dabney Coleman? He's great in everything. Did he pass away? Is Dabney Coleman dead? I don't think so. Love Dabney Coleman. But anyway, there's some good banter between Matthew Broderick and Dabney Coleman. I really love the chemistry. They actually have kind of a chemistry. I forgot. Dabney Coleman's character is a little bit more concerned because he's the brains behind Whopper, and that's really, he don't want to say, hey, here's a teenage kid cracked into my computer, makes his computer look bad. They're not going to want his computer. They're going to go back to the humans turn the key. So, but there's a good banter there. They talk back and forth about what happened, and I know David comes in, he sees the computer set up, and he's like, man, I love this system. But he's not talking, so they're doing some back and forth there. David comes up with his office and everything. And then, so David and Dabney Coleman's character, which I can't remember the name of right now. I should have pulled that. Dabney Coleman. Let me pull that. Played John. Yeah, I should remember that. John. Anyway, they're banning back and forth what happened. And one interesting thing here is he brings up, why do you have reservations for a plane ticket to go to Europe? And earlier we saw where he hacked into a airline, made reservations for him and Ali Sheedy. That's just goofing around, joking around. But it makes Dabney Coleman's character and the government see that as, hey, he's working with somebody and he's ready to flee the country. As soon as he does all he's got to do to our Whopper machine, he's going to head to Europe. So that's a nice little touch, I think, they put in right there. That they, because you don't really see that coming. And then when he's like, why do you got trips to Europe? And you're thinking, oh, man, because we know as an audience member, he was just bullshitting around, trying to impress Ali Sheedy. Look at me, we got reservations. We hacked into the airlines things. But it does kind of build to John's thinking that, hey, this is more to this than some guy. Because he can't believe there's just some guy. One of the other computer guys was like, he just hacked into it. It's like, no, he can't hack into this. So they locked David up in this little office room. I was like, they couldn't find nowhere else better to play him. This guard's out there hitting on the secretary instead of paying attention to it. And I love this scene. There's a scene that don't get talked about much. And again, I remember doing something similar, not as cool. So he's locked in this office, and he has to get out of there. And he goes through these drawers, and he finds a tape recorder. And what I loved is there's one drawer that won't open. So what does he do? He takes the top drawer off, and then he's able to unlock the other drawer and open it. I can remember going to somebody's office, probably my mom's office or something. There would all be a drawer lock. I can remember the library at my school had a drawer lock. Not always. You would have to put your fingers on the rails on there so you could take the drawer all the way off of the wheel casing and try to get into the drawer that way, all because of David Lightman. There's one other thing David used to do, and I was always trying to do, I couldn't get it to work. We'll talk about that in a minute. But So he takes this tape recorder. He finds a little handheld tape recorder and like an aux cable, and he breaks into the computer, to the keypad where they lock it. It's computer lock keypad, and knocks on it. Tells the guy he's got to go to the bathroom. The guy comes, enters the code 1138, whatever it is, and David is recording that beep 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 sound. Now I know when you're watching, you think he's just recording the beeps. How's that going to work? But I don't know if it would really work. But I know on telephones, you can record just the sounds of the beep. Like if you had a push button telephone, you can record that beep 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 and play it on a phone, and it would dial that number. I don't know how it worked. I don't know. They used the tones meant something, I guess. I don't know, but I know that does work because I don't remember the full story, but I remember a friend and I tried it out, and it did work. Maybe it might not get the numbers all right, but at least it do something. So he uses that, plays it back, and the computer hears that beep, 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 and unlocks the door, and he sneaks out. Oh, he goes through the vents and everything, ends up under some stairs. You almost get the life scared out of you because he comes walking out. This guy grabs him on the shoulder, and it's really an asshole guy. Can we talk about this guy? Is probably one of the major assholes in movies. He thinks David's with a group of tourists that are there. I don't know why they have tourists walking around in this government silo under a mountain. Don't look like a place where tourists would go. But David's there. He thinks he's with David. He grabs him by the shoulder. He really gives him a stern talking to. We're like, dude, I wasn't that far behind. He was probably maybe 4 or 5 steps behind the group. It wasn't like he was 5 minutes behind them. And, he's like, get back in line, and screams at him and everything. So David uses this opportunity to blend in with those tourists that's checking out the government place, and he escapes. Yes, he does. He's on the run. About this time, Dabney Coleman's character. Well, I think it's not that. It's some FBI guys come to take him, maybe CIA. So I think it's the principal from Back to the Future, isn't it? If not, it looks just like him. I'm pretty sure. I'm 99.9. It's the principal from Back to the Future. He comes. I guess he's coming up there to tell David that he's a slacker, and he'll always be a slacker. Maybe he saw the report that his dad was a slacker. I don't know, but he thinks he's a slacker. So he's going to come. I guess they're going to take him back to Washington and prosecute him. So David's on the run. Where is he going to go? Well, earlier when he was talking to Dabney Coleman went down to the main building, and that's when Matthew Broderick got back on the computer. That was in Dabney Coleman's room. It was kind of odd how he can get into that computer there and log in and talk to Joshua there. But he's like, is this real? Are we still playing the game? Joshua, the game ain't over. And tells him that he couldn't find, the computer thinks he's Hawkins. Stephen Falcon. And he tells him he has an address for him. Although we all assumed that he was dead. But apparently he's not dead. The government gave him a new identity, changed his name, and he's retired. So David's got this address of where he is. So he's on the run, and this is another part I try to do. He's at a phone booth. He has no money. So he looks around the ground. He finds a top pop. Pop-a-top. Again, a pop top. Which they don't really come off now. You used to get a can of Coke or something, and you would pull it off, and you would throw it on the ground. Millions of them on the ground. So he found that. He goes to the phone booth, takes the receiver off, unscrews the bottom of it. First he has to knock it a little bit, unscrews it, and then he's able to put that metal from that can top onto the receiver and then touch something else metal. He tries a few different places, touches something else metal, and that makes a connection, tells Bell South or whoever the phone company is that that is connected. You hear a little click, and then he can get a free phone call. Now, I tried this. I could never get the receiver part to open up. Never could. They glued them things on, I guess. I never could. But then again, I'm a scrawny little kid, probably about 14. Probably just couldn't open it up. I could never get that. Now, I know back in the day, back in the 70s, you could get this whistle that came in Captain Crunch. And that whistle would have a certain tone on that whistle that just happened to give you free long distance. You hold it up to the phone, you blow the whistle, and you get free long distance. So that was always neat when I heard that little story right there. So there's David. He makes a call back to Ali Sheedy's character. Who is Ali Sheedy's character? Jennifer Mack. I'll forget that. So he calls her, says, I need some money. I don't really understand how she has money enough. I mean, she's a teenage girl in high school. I don't know how she's got enough money. I guess she's going to wire it. They don't have PayPal and stuff back then. So he's supposed to get her a plane ticket and some money so he can go find Falcon and find out what's going on. But now Falcon's going over under the name Robert Hume. Hope I got that right, Robert Hume. But he goes So he goes to get his plane ticket, but Sheedy shows up. She didn't buy a ticket. She came there. They take a ferry to this island where the doctor is, where Hawkins is now, Falcon. They get there, and he's on the run. So I'm kind of losing the story of me saying, hey, I want to be like this guy, because now he's off looking for this old man. I never went looking for an old man. Never cared about going looking for an old man at all. So they take this ferry to this island, and all of a sudden a pterodactyl shows up. And this is when you're like, what? This movie just jumped the rails. What the hell? But it turns out to be just an RC kind of pterodactyl. Now, I talk about things I wanted to do after seeing this movie. I wanted a pterodactyl to fly. I was like, because it was about the size of what I guess a real one would have been. I was like, man, if I got to fly this around my neighborhood, man, that would have been baller. But we find out it's an RC and it's being operated by Falcon. Falcon's like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. This is my little private area. Get back on the ferry. Get the hell out of here. And they're like, they're trying to talk him into, hey, you got to save us. But this guy's already gone. And to him, the Stephen Falcon that he was is gone. He's just he lost his son. He just kind of isolated by himself. And he says mankind's going to end anyway. The dinosaurs were here longer than man was here, billions of years ago, and they died out. Another life form came along, which was humans, and he's like, that's just how things go. We're probably going to all nuke ourselves, and then a couple 1,000 years later, something else. Maybe the frogs. I don't know what he says. Frogs or bees. He says something. Maybe they'll be the ruler of the earth. So he doesn't really care. To him, as Sheedy tells him, you're already dead. You don't care. But she's like, we're kids. We got our future. We are not ready to die yet. But he makes him watch this old claymation dinosaur movie, and I don't know. I don't really know why he wanted to watch that. I guess so he can do his whole speech about the dinosaur. Just seemed odd to have the film projector all set up and everything for that. He could just set it without making him watch it. Looks like a Land of the Lost or something without the humans. But he says, well, I'm not going to help you, but you can stay here tonight, because they're on this little island out by themselves, and the ferry don't come until the morning. But they're like, screw him. He ain't going to help us. Let's leave. Let's go find help somewhere else. Which I don't know. I mean, it was like 1 o'clock at night. I would at least slept there. And then left. But, okay, so they leave. And they're out there trying to get out. We learned that David can't swim. As he said, he thought there'd be plenty of time to get around to it. But he didn't know he was going to end mankind all because of him. So, Sheedy's kind of making fun of him. And they said they're going to swim. But this is probably 10 miles, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. It's completely dark. I don't know how they were going to swim and then get back over. They have no clothes. I don't think the plan of swimming across it was really planned out by the two too much. But all of a sudden, a helicopter shows up. It's got a big spotlight on them. They're running. The spotlight's standing on them. And you're like, oh my God. You agree. David says, the bastard's turned us in. And I was like, yeah, I think he has. But then we learn it's Falcon in this helicopter. In this helicopter is Falcon, and he's had a change heart. He's like, hey, you're right. Or so he's like, come on in. So they get in there, and then they head to NORAD. It doesn't take them long to get there. But at this time, Joshua's still been playing the war game, and the DEFCON's down to 1. And they're locking down everything. They got this big steel door, huge door with all kinds of bolts on it and everything. The guy trying to get them there in time runs over in a Jeep, turns the Jeep over. They run in, barely make it. I mean, you can feel it when they're running to that big vault door, and it's closing. Ooh, it kind of gets you. It kind of gets the thrills running. Well, that thing's going to crush you. I mean, it's gonna hurt. You don't want that thing to get stomped on your foot. That's for sure. You're not going to get it. But the thing is, once this thing's locked, they can't open it back up while they're on DEFCON 1. So they barely get in there, and then, the general guy's like, hey, this ain't a time for a tour. What's these people doing here? And I think Falk, keeps talking to him. Hey, good to see you again. He's like, hey, we ain't got time for all that. And he comes up with some plans of, hey, how we're going to get the computer. You can't just, the general guy he says, just unplug the damn thing later. He's like, just unplug it. And I remember as a kid laughing at that. I was like, yeah, just unplug it. But apparently if you unplug it, that tells the computer that there was a major power outage, and that just means launch everything. It means all hell's broke loose. So just launch everything you can. So they can't just unplug it. So, David's there, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to stop this. Joshua won't stop the game. And the thing is about the Joshua computer, it's a learning computer. And it has to learn that this nuclear game isn't worth playing, because no matter who's playing it, it always comes out with both teams lose. And this is something that Falcons tried to teach the computer when he was doing Whopper, when he's doing the software for years, trying to make it, he taught it to play chess, and he tried to teach it as a learning computer. Get better at chess, get better. But the one thing it couldn't learn was it didn't matter on some games, because there's always going to be a loser. And that's when they get Josh to play tic-tac-toe, because, as they say, it's always loser. Now, I have a problem with this thing, because the computer, whoever goes first, always does center square. Even one of the guys says, put the X in the center. But you can see him playing tic-tac-toe really fast. Because he sets it on player 0, so it would play itself. And it's really fast. And he's playing, and it's always a tie. I don't know why they didn't go to the corner. You can go to the corner. Can't win. You can win 95% of the time if you go first. If you're X, you go X in one of the corners, and you watch what you're doing. You can always win. But apparently Joshua didn't know this. He always went to the center square. I guess he watched Hollywood Squares a little too much. So it's playing itself. And at this time, they're getting nervous, because it's like, okay, they think nukes are on their way from Russia. But then Joshua stops playing. Now I know I'm shortening what's going on here. So Josh stops playing the game. And he's like, this game is pointless. There's no winner. There's no loser. It's going to be a tie no matter what you do. And he applies that to the nuclear codes, and stops playing the nuclear game. And everybody's kind of happy. I know I kind of did a short version of the end there. Again, this wasn't really to go over step by step for the movie, because you probably have seen it. It's more about my take on the movie. But he comes. He's David Falk, everybody's a hero. Everybody stops everything. There's one guy, they think the bombs went off, and they're calling these other bases, and you just hear this southern guy, "Are we okay? Hell, we did it," or something like that. I love it.
Damn it, I'd piss on a spark plug if I thought it'd do any good.
But this movie really, like I said, this is one of those movies that really shaped me, especially in my teen years, because it really got me into computers. And I guess that's probably why, I would have to credit this movie here is why I'm sitting here editing a podcast, uploading a video, getting on social media. Probably if it wasn't for this movie, I would have probably been burned out by computers, because, there wasn't really a lot you could do back then. You could, put your little text games on them, stuff like that, make some little programs. But there really wasn't that much you could do before the internet on them. Write programs, maybe some bookkeeping and stuff, but nothing for a kid, really, for a teenager or almost a teenager. So this really shaped me into like, hey, I wanted to be David Lightman. I ain't gonna lie, I wanted to, as much as I wanted to be Han Solo in Star Wars, even more I probably wanted to be David Lightman. He had Ali Sheedy. Who wouldn't want Ali Sheedy? And just the thought of the cutest girl in class coming to my house, hanging out, watching me do geek stuff on the computer. Hey, that's all you need right there. I know everybody thinks Ferris Bueller's cool, and they're both Matthew Broderick. They're both cool, and I wouldn't mind being a kid being Ferris Bueller, but to me, David Lightman was always a lot cooler than Ferris Bueller. Maybe not cooler is the word, just I think I would have loved better David Lightman. Seemed fun hacking into those computers, playing games for anybody else. It's just a real special time. So, that watching him do all that stuff with his home computer made me get on, try to learn it too, try to be like him. Again, I didn't even have a modem until like 88. So I was going years just I would make up my own hacking programs where you have to use these login codes. If A string equals yellow, then go to 10. And if you put yellow as a code, then it takes you to level 10. And okay, I ain't gonna get all into coding. But I used to make these little programs, try to act like I was hacking, tell my friends, hey, look, I hacked into this, hacked into that. But like I said, this really did shape me. Not only that, it's a great movie. If you haven't seen War Games, now I hate to bring it up. They did a sequel in the 2000s, but it was more just slap the name on it, straight to video. I wouldn't call it a sequel. They show up at Walmart like that with the name on it, so let's not even talk about that. But this movie had a $79 million budget. Oh, excuse me, it had a $12 million budget, and it made $79 million. So pretty good hit film for back in 1984. If you haven't seen War Games, please check it out. Now, listen, most of you guys listening to this have seen it. and no doubt about it, you have seen it and you know all about it. I don't think I have much more I can add. Just trying to look over some Wikipedia facts here. Maybe I can. Let's pull up. In fact, I'm going to pull up some little more information just about the movie instead of how I felt about the movie. I know kind of like to do a little bit of both. But let's just run down and see if there's any cool things. The studio had Galactican and Galactica delivered to Matthew's home so he could practice it. How about that? I didn't even think it was really him playing, because you really can't see them both at the same time. The Whopper seen in the movie was made of wood and painted with a metal finish paint. There are some little facts for you. The movie includes the first cinematic reference to a firewall, a security measure used to computer network system and internet. How about that? The first use of the word firewall for computer terminals was in this movie right there. David Lightman was inspired by real-life hacker David Scott Lewis, who isn't allowed to discuss whether he even hacked into the military computer or not. I can remember back by the time this movie came out, people talking about this. There was a kid that supposedly hacked into a military computer, and even it says here he's not allowed to say if he did or if he didn't, but if he didn't, I think he would be able to say it. A video game version of the movie was made in 1984. Commodore 64 and Atari 8-bit computer. The game started out greeting you as Professor Falcon, and you would play a game of thermonuclear war. I don't remember an Atari game on this. I do not remember that. Your objective was to stop nuclear war. Man, I have to check that out. Why didn't I have that as a kid? I would have played the heck out of that one right there. It says that the general guy in the Barry that played the general, ad-lib knows his lines. He's got one of the best lines in movies that I've heard anyway, and that's when I think I mentioned it earlier. I'll piss on a spark plug if I thought it'd do any good. Maybe I did mention that, but I should have. I love that line. I love that. The largest hacker convention in the world is called DEF CON. As an homage to the film. How about that? Did not know that anyway. The dinosaur film that Professor Falcon shows David and Jennifer is called 1 million years BC. So it wasn't made just for the movie. 1 million years BC. It's a Harryhausen. I think that's how you say it. It looks like one of his works right there. Matthew Broderick's father, James Broderick, died just a few days before production of the film wrapped up in November 1982. That's sad to hear. I didn't know that. At the beginning of the movie, when the Air Force guys are starting their ship, a sign on the wall reads, "Anyone caught urinating in this area will be discharged." There's something to look for. A part of Professor Falcon's was originally written. Let me start all over, man. I've been talking for an hour, mouth dry. The part of Professor Falcon was originally written for John Lennon. Whoa, I can't. He does kind of got like a John Lennon look to him, though, don't he? That's odd. That would be weird seeing that. Hacking wasn't actually illegal when this movie came out. That didn't happen until the Computer Act in 1990. Whoa! So all this time I could have hacked into stuff and it wouldn't even been illegal? Awesome. The film is still a favorite in Silicon Valley. Google held a 25th anniversary screening of 2008. Well, I'm glad to know there's some people, the computer people. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the computers that grew up on this movie here. Let's run through these a little bit more. When the message for the tour group at NORAD is active, the sound effect that plays is from Galactica. Yeah, I didn't talk about, there was the tour group's there, and he's like, "Okay, lady, hit this button." She hits the button. They're like, "Oh my God, you started a war." That's pretty funny. Oh, I give this lady a heart attack. According to the movie database, Matthew Broderick turned down playing Alex P. Keaton in Family Ties to make war games. That could have changed some history. Who knows? We could have Matthew Broderick as Marty McFly, and we could have had Michael J. Fox as Ferris Bueller. That would have been crazy. See if there's any more to go through. The tunnel that Dave, Jennifer, and Dr. Falcon are running through is not NORAD. I didn't think it was really insane. I doubt they don't film there. Rather, it's a tunnel at the Grifton Park Observatory in Los Angeles. That'd be kind of cool to see. Broderick and Sheedy would both go on to star in big John Hughes films. Ali Sheedy would appear in Breakfast Club, and Broderick in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's pretty, we know about that one. Jennifer and Dave ride a moped. Okay, I remember that. David's house is actually located in Los Angeles. Hey, go there. If you live in Los Angeles, take a picture with that. Protovision being located in Sunnyvale, California, may be a tribute to Atari, which installed the first Pong arcade game in Andy Capp's Sun Valley in August 1972. The original title of the movie was called The Genius. Nah, I like War Games better. According to his obituary in the film, Stephen Falcon died on June 23rd, 1973. I wasn't even one yet. David's phone number used to call NORAD's computer, here's some trivia for you, was 399-2364. Ali Sheedy and Barry Coleman were both recurring characters on Hill Street Blues when the movie came. I didn't know she was on, neither one of them was on Hill Street Blues. Okay, guys, that's a look at movies that made me, that really changed my life. This is just movie one. We'll go through some more. Hopefully you'll enjoy this. Let me know some feedback that you enjoyed this podcast, and we'll do some more. We'll talk about, I don't know what movie we're going to talk about next. I'm going to try to stay away from Star Wars or Return of the Raiders of the Lost Ark, or stuff that you know that I love, at least for a while, right? We're just going to go over movies, and we might expand into other things too, but I'm going to try to keep it to movies. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching. This is the movies that changed me, or the movies that made me. I'm still got a working title, first episode. I want to thank you for watching, listening. I'm just so used to saying that. Thank you for listening. Share it around, tell other people, and give me some feedback to see how this is. Thank you, and we'll talk again.
God damn it, I'd piss on a spark plug if I thought it'd do any good.